Day, Tony. How should we celebrate the teachers who help us dance?
Sprinkler!
Is that a celebration? Or is that like an annoyance?
That hurt my neck. That was a stupid
Well, that's
thing
what
to
you
do.
get.
No, that was
That's
stupid.
what you get. Sprinkler. Who came up with that?
Actually, the producers thought that would be a very good
Oh,
idea if I would
okay.
look stupid
Alrighty
on the
then.
air. And I said, okay,
Yeah.
I'll look stupid on the air.
Now your
Won't
neck
be the
is
first time.
traction.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Broncos hire Vic Fangio.
Ugh.
The Bucks hire Bruce Arians, and Zion Williamson dominates Wake. But we begin today, Wilbon, with your favorite whipping boy franchise, the Cleveland Browns. They just hired someone named Freddie Kitchens, who began this year as their running backs coach. And they fired Greg Williams, who was 5-3 as their interim coach, which is the best record by any Browns coach in 12 years. Wilbon, does this feel like a better solution than the one they had at the end of the season?
No, not particularly. If your quarterback has such a great relationship and respect for Freddie Kitchens, then make him the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. All these hires, and we're going to go through this because that's all we got today, and the news is coaching hires. No one coaches the whole team anymore. Now, I realize there's precedent for this back in the old days when you and I were young pups, because guys like Joe Gibbs would say if we ask a question about the defense,
Give it to Richie Pettibone.
because he didn't deal with that. So this is not new.
No, it's not.
But now it's exclusive. Does anyone coach the entire team?
So I didn't necessarily see this coming because I don't know of Freddie Kitchens, and until Todd Haley was fired, he had never been a coordinator in his life. I looked at Greg Williams, and I thought, okay, he's got an occasionally abrasive personality. I don't know what went on in that locker room, but I thought if anybody had earned it, he had earned it.
He's been a head coach. He's been a coordinator many times in this league.
Clearly, Mike, this is a bet on Baker Mayfield. Clearly, we got the overall #1 pick. He was so much better with Kitchens than he was with Haley and Hugh Jackson. And what people are looking for now, and you see this with Cliff Kingsbury as a hire with Josh Rosen, they're looking for a quarterback whisperer.
Okay,
that's what you
want.
want.
So let's go back to my original question.
Right.
Then why not just let that guy do his thing with this quarterback
Maybe they were
that
afraid.
you feel you have so much
Maybe they were
invested
afraid
in?
they couldn't keep him unless they made him the head coach.
You know what keeps everybody, and you know what the NFL teams have plenty of? Scratch money. Well, Freddie Kitchen, where's he going?
I don't know.
Going to demand the Alabama job?
No.
No, he's going to demand the Packer job?
No.
He's going to go where they let him coach this kid and pay him. But now he's the coach of the whole team. Do they know whether he can even handle this?
Of course not. He's until the middle of the year, he'd never even been a coordinator.
Coach.
No. So no. They don't know.
As I said, it's wall-to-wall football coaching hires, Tony. So let's move just a little bit west, where John Elway and the Broncos are breaking my heart by taking defensive boss Vic Fangio away from the Bears. The hiring of Fangio goes against the grain in two ways. One, he's not a young pup. He's 60. And two, he's not a saucy offensive genius or quarterback whisperer, as you say.
Yeah.
Tone, do you think this radical departure from trying to find the next McVay or the next Shanahan is the right way for Denver to go?
So this is correctly identified as the outlier because everybody else is going for offense, and this is a move for defense. The Bears were the best defensive team statistically in the whole league this year. If you recall, the last time the Broncos won a Super Bowl, it was mostly defense. Peyton Manning was at the end of his career, and it was Von Miller, and it was defense. The Broncos don't have a young Turk at quarterback. They got Case Keenum, who's going to be 31 years old.
Nobody should whisper in his ear?
Well, I'm thinking that for this team, for this franchise, particularly if Gary Kubiak comes back to run the offense, that this feels to me like the right hire for them. You don't think so? Or you're just angry that they're taking him from the Bears?
Well, of course, I'm very annoyed about that. But in the bigger picture, Tony, I think it's fine for John Elway to double down on defense. If you think that's your strength, then play to it. Don't just in a copycat league have to go out and find
I agree with you.
uber young guy who can only bond with the quarterback. Is that going to help Von Miller get to the quarterback, the other one, more? No, it's not. The other thing is, there's a history of people trying to stealing away Bears defensive coaches and making them head coach. It didn't work as well with Buddy Ryan in the more celebrated case.
No, it didn't.
It worked to a degree. Philadelphia became a star team. They became a team everybody wanted. They were must-see TV, but they didn't win any playoff games.
Can I ask the overriding question here, which is why anybody would want to work for John Elway, who really has a quick hook? And not only does he have a quick hook with coaches, but he hasn't been so good with quarterbacks.
No.
Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Brock Osweiler. I like
Paxton
him,
Lynch, where's
but
he
he's
now?
not great.
Osweiler
He's
not
6
there
and
on that
10.
team.
You are what your record says you are.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
Since we closed yesterday's show, we learned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have hired 66-year-old Bruce Arians away from the broadcast booth and made him their head coach. Reportedly, the Bucs believe that Arians can get the most out of Jameis Winston, who attended Arians' football camps as a middle schooler. Wilbon, does this feel like a step forward or a step backwards?
I don't know what this feels like. A middle schooler. Really? Yeah. So I don't understand what that means. But here's where I'm not going to say it's a step backward, because Bruce Arians has proven himself to a degree, to a large degree,
oh my God, yes,
as a head coach. He went someplace where no one ever wins double-digit games, and he did it 3 times in about a 6-year stretch. So Arians gets the benefit of the doubt to that extent.
This feels to me like a short-term deal. This feels to me like they've hired Bruce Arians to be a mechanic for Jameis Winston.
Fix the car.
Yes, and if it doesn't work, then they'll both be out in a small amount of time. His record is extraordinary.
Yeah,
he's got a winning percentage of .635. And that doesn't even count the 9-3 when he was the interim coach at Indianapolis. He's worked with Andrew Luck. He's worked with Ben Roethlisberger. He's worked with Peyton Manning. I didn't expect this because I thought he said he'd only leave the booth for the Cleveland Browns, but I think it's good.
Yeah, I think Arians is one of those guys, you don't pay attention as much to when he makes these grand pronouncements. He's got to go coach now. And we know that management there, the ownership there, has said Jameis Winston is our guy. No matter how much trouble he occasionally seems to be,
off the field.
He's our guy.
Yep.
So in that case, Tony, yes, they've got the situation that most demands a quarterback whisperer. Not just a quarterback whisperer, but this specific guy. Now, I don't know if he can fix him. You said he's tinkering under the hood.
Well, I think that if you are going to announce that we're making this hire because he attended the guy's camp as a middle schooler,
he's 10 years
then
old.
It's very, very specific to Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston, and they don't want to give up on Jameis Winston. But if it doesn't work soon, they'll give up on both, I think.
Who coached you as a middle schooler?
I didn't.
A famous guy coached you.
Abraham Lincoln.
No.
Who?
Larry Brown?
Yeah, I was a grade schooler then, not even a middle schooler. I was younger than that.
I
was a failure for Larry Brown. I was
goes a ways back.
No good.
We don't know who will be coaching Kyler Murray next year or even what sport he'll be playing, but the godfather of modern scouting, Gil Brandt, reminded us yesterday that he wouldn't be surprised if Murray returns to Oklahoma for another season of football. Tony, the kid figures to get rich either way, baseball or football. So knowing what you know right now, what would you advise Murray to do?
So I understand the reasoning here. The reasoning is if you go right to the NFL draft, you're not giving baseball a full chance. You're not making sure how good you are in baseball. But if you say, I'm going to come back to Oklahoma, then you can go play baseball until the football season starts. I understand that. If you're asking me what I would advise him to do, I would not advise him to come back. He won the Heisman. I don't think he's going to do any better than he did. And I would say to him, it's time for you to get paid because this is football and you can get hurt. You can lose your whole career.
And that's why my advice would be overly simplistic. Kid, what do you like to do? What do you love to do? What do you ache to do? What do you dream about? Baseball or football? If it's both, then try to be Dion. I mean, but I will agree with you in this way. You can let football set and people will remember what you last did, which was Heisman Trophy, have a great season, get to the Final Four, go play baseball. Chances are you preserve yourself and your health. And then still, kid, what do you love? What do you burn to do?
So you can make a lot more money over the long haul in baseball, except if you're a big-time quarterback.
Yeah.
If you're a big-time quarterback, there's a lot of money in that. That trumps being a 270 hitter. I agree with you. I don't know what he wants to do, but I mean, again, come back and play for free. No.
That's hard.
Yeah,
with the injuries that you see.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
I mean, that's like the other night, Tony. I was cringing when Trevor Lawrence, who was still a freshman, ran the ball late in a blowout. And you're saying, oh, my God, I hope this kid doesn't get hurt because we've seen those kinds of injuries on the football field. We've seen careers derailed.
So
Murray, that's a tough one for people who are actually advising him.
Zion Williamson had another spectacular game last night. Against Wake Forest, the freshman had 30 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 3 of 4 from the three-point line. And after the game, Williamson said, quote, I kind of hate being classified as a dunker. Coach K wouldn't have recruited me if I was just a dunker, but I guess people on the outside don't understand that, unquote. Well, then, has Williamson convinced you that he's more than just a dunker?
Not yet. And I'll confess, I watched Williamson for one reason now. I just watch him to to try and pick holes in his game relative to the NBA, not the college game, relative to the next, because that's what we're going to start dealing with him this summer.
But to be fair, you're doing this because you think the Bulls have a chance of getting him.
No. I want to know whether this kid can play or not. And I'm too impatient. I don't want to wait to actually see it. I want to know. I sit to pick holes. And so last night I sit there, I watch every game he plays. And I'm sitting there going, Matthew, he can't hit any threes.
That's right.
Boom, boom. He reminds me of Larry Johnson in some ways, and I don't just mean build, but he's so nimble around the basket. He explodes, yes, but he's clever around the basket to finish. He seems to have a little bit of a dribble, a little bit of a handle in traffic. Yeah. This is what I'm watching. I don't know if he is yet more than a dunker. What do you think? You watch Duke all the time.
I think right now he's a dunker, and I think that's because he can get his way inside on anybody in college.
What about those threes last night?
Well, I think he's fooling around with that. Those are not the threes.
Fooling around?
Mike, those are not the threes he's going to get unguarded like that in the NBA. And he's a grown man, and he should be playing in the NBA. Now, it'll take him a year or two or something like that. But if people had doubts about him, you would hear him being projected as the 14th or 16th pick. He's the one pick.
Those kind of doubts.
He's the one pick. I mean, he's better than everybody in college. He's more spectacular. He's a helicopter. He goes straight up in the air 46 inches. I don't know what he is yet because he's not being challenged
That's
yet.
right. But, Tony, we've seen number one picks who people have expressed doubts about who couldn't do it at the next level. Or they do it to some degree. Or they do it 5 years in, Andrew Wiggins, and people are still saying, well, how come you couldn't get me 40 and 10 on another night?
I think
those questions are...
I think this kid is more spectacular than that.
Okay.
Let's take a break. Coming up, Pat Mahomes gets all the attention, but would you rather have Andrew Luck on Saturday?
And the Patriots are favored, but are the Chargers the better team?
He's compelling to watch, Zion
But does it convey?
I don't know.
That's what I'm watching
Because he's playing against college kids.
Okay, but you still got to project off that. He's not going to play against men before the draft.
I don't think...
Pardon the Interruption is brought to you by Domino's. Order online and track your order.
When Media.
It takes tough people to make tough choices, which might be why Wilbon struggles in toss-up. Yeah. What's first?
Toss-up more likely to make it back to the championship game next year. Clemson or Alabama?
So the easy answer is both, because they are the best teams by a wide margin. Yeah. They always play each other. They've got a lot of people coming back, including both quarterbacks are coming back. I'll choose Clemson, and I'll choose Clemson for this reason. I think it's easier to win the ACC than it is to win the SEC. I understand that Alabama has gone even when they haven't won the SEC, but that depends on the relative strength of other conferences. If you win your conference in the ACC, you're going, so I will say Clemson.
Two reasons. One, it's easier to win the ACC. Two, let's recount who Clemson has coming back. Trevor Lawrence, otherworldly young quarterback. T. Higgins, who makes catches like he's Jerry Rice as a freshman. Justin Ross.
He's great.
Travis Etienne, Amari Rogers.
Yeah, they're good.
That's why.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not that hard. I'm not going to say.
But Alabama's got talent, too. They got
college-level sports are still about coaches primarily. It's not the pros where it's a players' league, but those guys.
Next.
They're good.
Next, we agree. Next.
Toss-up. Who would you rather have on Saturday, Andrew Luck or Patrick Mahomes?
So I think Mahomes is a supernova. I think he's been more exciting to watch than anybody out there this year. Can't wait to watch him. This is his first playoff game. Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Mitch Trubisky, first playoff games, and they all lost. Andrew Luck is 4-3 in playoff games. As great as Mahomes has been, Andrew Luck has had an extraordinary season, coming back for an injury that some people thought he would never come back from. So I'm going to say Andrew Luck.
Yeah, I'm going to say Luck too. And
really?
I think playing on the road may be a help here. And I don't usually go that way. I mean, there's an obvious home field advantage in Kansas City. Okay?
Sure.
But Mahomes and the Chiefs under so much pressure. See, people can say, but I wasn't here when they lost all those games. But you're there now. And you go to the dry cleaners and the PTA and they pick your kid up from school and you hear it. And it mounts on you. And I think it even mounts on Mahomes until we see differently. The answer is Luck.
Next.
Toss-up. Who should be favored, the Chargers or the Patriots?
So the Patriots are favored by 4. That is the shortest price on the board at the moment. The Chargers are 8-1 now on the road. The Chargers are playing better right now than the Patriots. But the Patriots should be favored, and I'm going to tell you why they should be favored.
Because they're the Patriots.
One is that they are the Patriots, and they never lose this game. In this particular game at home, under Bill Belichick, they are 11-1. And one is the temperature is going to be below freezing for the whole game, and that's hard on the Chargers. That's hard on a team from Los Angeles or San Diego or wherever they're from.
Southern Cal.
Wherever they're from. So though I think the Chargers have a real chance, the Patriots should be favored.
The guy who's wearing the hood, what does this say on his chest?
It says New England.
Yeah. And the Golden Boy, the guy who's got more Super Bowls than anybody.
It says 12 on his chest.
And what's the insignia? What's the branding?
It would be the Patriots.
Okay, so this is insane. There's only one answer here. I don't care if the San Diego Chargers upset them. Who should be favored? Who would you with? The answer is the Patriots.
Do you think the Patriots will win?
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is now, we've agreed 3 times. This is now annoying. What's next?
Last one, toss-up. Which NFC East team is more likely to pull the upset?
Okay.
The Cowboys or the Eagles?
So I'm not saying either is likely. I'm not saying that. I give the Cowboys a slightly better chance for this reason. One, under Sean McVay, genius quarterback whisperer that he is, they're 0-1 at home. They're 0-1 at home. They don't have a very good run defense, and the Cowboys have a great runner. Ezekiel Elliott is a great runner. I think it's hard to go to New Orleans and win. I know Nick Foles is touched by magic in the playoffs, but Breeze and Peyton are 5-0 at home in New Orleans. I think it's a harder win in New Orleans than it is in Los Angeles.
I think both of them can win. I think both of them will win.
Well, you predicted that certainly the Eagles
I'm not going to run away from the Eagles now after saying the Eagles-Bears winner was going to go on the road no matter where they had to play and win. And so I think the Eagles, having been bounced around, thrown around like a rag doll previously by the Saints, will not have that happen again. And I think the advantage, as Tony Dungy hinted to us yesterday, lies with the Eagles in this rematch. And I think the Cowboys, for the very reason you said, Ezekiel Elliott might be underrated, which is hard to be as celebrated as you are. The moment you put on a Dallas Cowboys uniform, you're usually overrated. Ezekiel Elliott, underrated. Tony, and Dak Prescott can run when he needs to make plays.
The scary thing
I like
is
both of them.
Both the Rams and the Saints can throw 50 at you. They can.
They can, but they're not going to.
That's it. Let's take a break, but still to come, the Warriors announce a target date for DeMarcus Cousins' return.
And we'll get Tony's thoughts on Jerry Jones's new vessel.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that a boat. I mean, it's apparently bigger than a football field. I'm not a boat guy. Are you a boat guy?
When they're that large.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't like being on the water. In the air, on the water.
You don't even know you're on the water. You don't know where.
Actually, you look over the side. You look. You know what? Most of the hotels I go to, there's no water on the side or in the front or the back. Happy 26th birthday, Marcus Peters. The 2-time Pro Bowl cornerback is one of a number of big-name defensive players to join the Rams this year after having issues with their former teams. Peters with the Chiefs, Aqib Talib with the Broncos, and Ndamukong Suh with everybody. Peters will defend Amari Cooper head-to-head on Saturday, try and take away the Cowboys' one deep passing threat.
Tony, the popular pick of a team to be eliminated lately has become the Rams. They stumbled a little bit as of late, not in a big way, but you think they can go out?
No, you think they can.
A lot of people think they can.
Happy anniversary, Carson Wentz. On this day just 3 years ago, you returned from a broken wrist to lead North Dakota State to a 5th straight 1AA championship. North Dakota State has continued to win without Carson Wentz. They won again this year, and their coach Chris Kleiman has been hired to replace Bill Snyder at Kansas State. It goes without saying that the Philadelphia Eagles have continued to win without Carson Wentz as well.
If the Eagles go back to the Super Bowl, either win or lose once they get there, how do you?
I don't know how you get rid of them.
How do you put Foles back on?
I don't.
How do you send them away or bench them?
I don't know how you do that. A melancholy trails to Bernice Sandler, the godmother of Title IX, died over the weekend at age 90. While seeking to become a teacher at the University of Maryland in the late 60s, Sandler identified a systematic pattern of discrimination against women. Down the road, the result was Title IX, which brings economic equity to the funding of women's and men's athletic teams at colleges and universities. And Title IX has opened up huge opportunities for women to play sports and get scholarships to college.
Do you remember the 1995 Nike ad, "If You Let Me Play"? And it's talking about young women at the time in this ad. If you let me play sports, I will be 60% less likely to get breast cancer, less likely to be depressed, more likely to learn what it is to be strong, more likely to be more self-confident. And when I hear and see that commercial, I think of Ms. Sandler and her enormous contribution to this crusade.
The effect of what she did far outweighs her name. Yes. I did not know her name. I know her deeds. One clarification, Clemson's T. Higgins is a sophomore. Justin Ross, Trevor Lawrence are freshmen.
Youngsters
Let's go to the big finish.
Let's do it.
The NFL and NFLPA announced There's no evidence the league targeted Eric Reed with drug tests. Your thoughts?
I don't know enough, right? Can we hear from Eric Reed at some point directly? Not even through Twitter, just hear from him. Jalen Hurts entered his name into the NCAA transfer portal today. What does that mean?
You get to go through time and space through the portal. I hope he ends up at Maryland with Mike Loxley, which is possible. DeMarcus Cousins will make his Warriors debut around January 18th. Is that a big deal?
It means maybe the Warriors can get back to being the dominant team they have been, because they're not there now, but he could help them there. Jerry Jones reportedly bought a 350-foot yacht with 2 helipads. You're impressed, aren't you?
$250 million, and you can park your boat in his boat. Last one, Suns-Mavs tonight. Ayton versus Doncic. Who's the rookie of the year right now?
Doncic now, because a half season ago, Ayton's got some time to make up some ground.
Out of time, we'll try and do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcast.
Harry Shiora medalist Joe Jones Delaire. Shout out.